All righty. Well, welcome back everyone to another episode of A Sip of Green Tea. And today we have two very special guests with us. We have Miles Ezeilo and Khalil Baker, and both of them are HBCUI students, and they were public affairs specialists, right? And y'all worked on the same park site together, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
Awesome, awesome. So today we got a little bit of double trouble. So thank y'all for being on the podcast and welcome, welcome. We are super grateful to have you on today. And so the first question I wanted to ask y'all is that both of y'all actually have a bit of connection to the environmental field. And that's like, people in Miles. I mean, your parents are the ones who started Green and Youth Foundation. So I wanted to ask y'all, what brought you to the environmental field? Was it like learning through other people about it, or did you just sort of like always have this passion for it?
I would say that it was definitely, like you said, it was it's a family thing. So from the start, I've always known the importance of preservation and the environment. And, my parents are, um, they're great. They showed me how important it is, but they didn't push me in any certain direction. And I feel like that's what made me, compelled to pursue something in the environment even more because there wasn't any pressure, but I did know the importance and the value of conservation, preservation, and being an environmental steward. So I think it started from an early age. I remember I was in middle school elementary school, and my parents would be part of this thing called the EcoForce team, and they would come around every elementary school, and I got to leave class for a minute, and we got to recycle around. We got to pick up recycling bins all around elementary school, and from there, I've always just been a really big fan of helping the environment. So, yeah, I think it started from an early age, but it was started in the family.
Yeah, and for me, I think I've always had some kind of connection to wanting to be outside and wanting to be in nature. Like when I was a kid, I loved to just stay outside for hours and always run up and down the street trying to have fun. And then one day, me and my sister were talking, and she was saying she was going to go to a farm in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, and I said, that sounds really weird, but I would like to go with you. So I went with her, and had a lot of fun just like being in that space of seeing all the wonderful stuff that Green Youth was trying to do in downtown Atlanta, no less. And ever since then, it just kind of helped build me to want to be outside of nature now. Cause like while I enjoyed it when I was a kid, and once we get older a little bit, we oftentimes kind of become more reserved, want to stay inside and stay clean and maybe find other things to do. So I think that experience for me personally brought out my connection again.
Got you. And so, both of y'all having that connection basically from like the very beginning. Where do you see yourself in 10 years in terms of like, career field or even just like in terms of like volunteering? Do you see both of yourselves doing something like GYF where you create like environmental internship programs, or do you want to be like in the field on the park sites, doing like park ranger stuff, public affairs, just like public engagement, things like that?
Um, yeah, I mean, in 10 years, I definitely want to still be doing something environmentally focused. I'm an economics minor in school, and so I definitely want to try to bring together economics and the environment, specifically agriculture. I think I was in sophomore year of high school, where I had one of my first jobs on the farm um, at downtown,
Mhm.
and I would spend so much time there, and I really enjoyed all the farm work and stuff. And from there, on top of that, I found out that it's really difficult for Black farmers to receive grants and funding for their farms. And I want to be a part of that, and I still want to be a part of that. So hopefully the goal in 10 years is to create some sort of system in which Black farmers are able to get the resources they need to do what they have to do. That's an idea, a concept in 10 years. Haven't really fleshed that out yet. It's been, I got some time to do that. But yeah, to answer your question, I definitely want to continue to, at the very least, volunteer to make sure that being an environmental steward is still something that I'm doing.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm still figuring out my plan as far as like what I want to do. My original plan was be a graphic designer, and then I was like, maybe I should go into business and look into that kind of side. And now with my internship with Grinning Youth and these experiences I've had so far, it's opened up the new possibility of trying to maybe like look into working in some way a federal side that I can work with the environment and try to make sure I help people. And so I honestly, I'm still trying to figure all of that out. But because of everything I've seen so far, I know at least I want to do something, like whether that's starting a community garden, try to get back that way, or if I'm just volunteering with Grinning Youth from time to time whenever I can. Just I want to make sure I'm doing something.
Got you. And yeah, those are really awesome goals. And I will say, just from like talking to all of the interns and just seeing like the variety of degrees people bring into the environmental field, I've learned that even if you don't have that, environmental background, environmental science, environmental studies, or something like wildlife biology or something like that, you can still find ways to bring your set of skills into the environmental field, whether that's in a career or just doing like volunteer work on the side. Um, and something I was actually really interested in asking you all about was roles as public affairs specialists. Could you define like what that work looked like for you all, and just how that went for you? How did you enjoy the experience?
Yeah. So I work with the 400 years, still work with the 400 Years of African American History Commission as an intern, a public affairs intern. Right now, I specialize in this program called the Distinguished 400 Program, where we highlight and acknowledge 400 African Americans doing amazing and noteworthy things. And that's a great program that I love being a part of. And so I guess my specific job is just to make sure that all the research is done to find the right candidates, reaching out to all the candidates to make sure that we have all like their addresses down, doing all the back end stuff with the fabrications places to make sure that they get the trophies that they need. And then, talking to the rest of the commission to make sure that any suggestions for the program are carried out successfully. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed doing this, especially during 2020 where, it's kind of hard to find pockets of optimism and happiness. Being able to have a position where I'm literally supposed to just find great Black people is like a blessing. So this I really enjoyed it.
And I also work with the 400 Commission. And for me, it's been a little different. I've been more focused on specifically the technical side of how to help the commission. So when I started, I believe my freshman year, 2018, the summer of my freshman year, I was just looking for internships, and I found out that there was a Green Youth had a graphic design position I can try to help. And when I got there, I realized that this was just going to help me grow as a graphic designer. The commission needed certain things that I would try to help out with. So they needed a website, they needed some brochures and things of that nature. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I do my best. I might not know everything immediately, but I made sure like I researched and did everything I could. So that way, when it came time to it, I was able to help out, and I was able to actually help build the website. I was able to help them if they needed brochures or flyers or pamphlets or anything that we wanted to do to help reach out to the community to let people know that we are here. That was always my task. And I was just making sure I was trying to learn as much as possible so that way I could help as much as possible. I'm still working with them now, and it's still focused on the technical side of everything, whether that's like social media, or work with Miles a little bit on different things of how we can incorporate both of our fields together. And we recently moved to a federal website, so now I'm learning about what it means to like have a .gov, what's all the processes that I need to know now versus when it was just a public website, regular website. So that's been my experience of it so far.
True. And really quick, I did want to ask, what do you know their public facing website? Because I would really love to check that out.
Yes. So currently it is www.400yaahc.gov.
YAHC.gov. Awesome, thank you. And we'll put a link to the description or we'll put a link to that website in the description for you all to check out if you're watching at home. And so I wanted to ask you in relation to the work that you're doing, because that sounds really awesome. When you tell people this, are they surprised that like this is something that happens within the environmental field? Like, do they know that this is like connected to the environment in any way?
I would definitely say, I mean, at this point, all my friends know that, the stuff that I do is mainly environmentally centered. So if I say something, they're going to try to find a way to, relate it back themselves anyway. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of people are surprised that, the work that we do is connected back to the environment. And that happens a lot. Like, I think a lot of times people still have an idea of an environmental job in their head, which is just like, gardening, recycling, planting trees, right? But there's so much more in the field that you can do. And I think it's a great thing that people like me and Khalil are able to still, have jobs in the environmental field and represent that, because people have opportunities to, if you don't want to plant trees necessarily, but you still want to help the environment, there's still ways to do that. So yeah, I definitely think that people are surprised sometimes when they hear about the jobs we do and connecting back to the environment, but I think it's good that we're exposing them to different opportunities.
Yeah, same for you, Khalil.
Yeah, for the most part. So my friends didn't really know initially about my how much I did want to have a connection to the environment. So it was an initial shock for me to tell them like, "Hey, I'm doing this," and it commemorating African Americans and talking about all of the successes and everything that we've done, but it's also related back to the environment and has that focus on it. So that was an initial shock, and it was like, well, okay, so I'm now seeing that it is not normal for people to realize, okay, like Miles said, there are a lot of things connected to the environment. There are a lot of things that are focused on giving back, and we don't always associate everything back together. And the things that do have connections, we don't always know that the connections are always there.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, one of my favorite things from working with GYF was just like talking to my friends, going into the doctor's office, and they all ask, what do you do? And then tell them about GYF, and then they ask, what is that? And just telling them about like the variety of ways that people can get involved with the environment without having to be, like you said, Miles, gardening, park rangers, things like that. It's just like so many different opportunities. Um, and especially like the work that y'all are doing. I mean, just researching great African American people. That's incredible. Um, and I wanted to ask, following up with that, Miles, do you, or actually both of you, since you both work with them, do you both plan on continuing this internship with them as long as you can, or are you looking to like change it up a little bit, maybe like dip your feet in something a little different, or what's your plan there?
Yeah, I definitely plan on working with the commission for the foreseeable future. I'm lucky enough for it to be a remote position, so I'm not like physically bound to any office or anything. And at the same time, like, the work that I'm doing can continue. Like, I mean, there's still more people out there that deserve to be recognized, and there's still, things to be done to make sure that all African Americans are seen and respected. And I think that with that comes more work, and I'm happy to do it. So as of right now, I have no plans of, leaving the commission. I think that it's a great place. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so far it's been a great experience, and I've learned so much, and I've made so many connections. I don't really see me trying to branch out more. at this point in time, I've just enjoyed all the work that we've done so far. So for now, I do see myself staying with the commission. It's been a great opportunity just to learn and sit and talk to so many people.
Got you. Got you. And so you both are still in school, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And so what are your majors and how do you plan on like taking that and, like either staying in the environmental field or just like using that as you continue your volunteer work?
Right. Well, I'm a political science major, economics minor, and I think that that is pretty applicable to the environmental field. I think when it comes to political science, you can think about policy, right, and the different things that can come with whether it's climate change policy or climate resiliency policy, or just green spaces and making sure those are preserved on a local and federal level. There's a lot of things that you can do from a political science perspective to make sure that you're still supporting the environment. And from an economics perspective, that's something that I'm also really interested in. I talked about that with the agricultural work, just being able to know, because there's a lot of money and there's a lot of financial aspects to the environment and preserving it. And a lot of times African Americans are left out of the equation. It's a lot of times things are happening on our behalf. And I want to be able to, in the future, change that because we deserve to have that spot at that table making decisions. So, yeah, that's my minor and major.
And I'm actually a business major on the 5-year track to get my MBA, get my master's in 5 years, and with a focus in accounting at Hampton University. And honestly, I'm still looking at how I can help because of the wide opportunities that the Park Service has. I've always thought that the Park Service was they were focused on one thing and that's what they did. They didn't like vary outside and the positions were very straightforward. It was park ranger. It was actually no, I really thought like it was really just park ranger and then people just giving tours and guides and volunteers and things of that nature. But over the past couple of summers, I've seen how wide of a variety of options that they have actually in the Park Service, and how they have intendants, superintendents, and then how they have different people in different fields that I never really would have thought of. So being able to see that and know like, okay, so maybe there is a place for a business major or a graphic designer or really anybody. Like there's so many opportunities. When I was talking to um, people that I've met over the years, they were talking about how they feel like the National Park Service is actually pretty similar to the Navy when it comes to the available opportunities that are out there. Like while a lot of people might think you do one thing, there's so many things that are actually going into it, and there's so many people behind the scenes that are working on different things here and there. So it's really wonderful to see that I might be able to have an influence in that.
And I have to say, Miles, I also did politics and political science, or sorry, economics and political science.
Oh, wow.
So I definitely understand the like public policy approach, especially because I feel like the environment, just in general, takes a back seat to like a lot of the things that we do in terms of like like mining or pollution. A lot of people don't really think about the issues that it causes with the environment. Um, and like public policy was like one of the fields coming out of college that I was thinking about. And luckily, I ended up finding GYF, and that's kind of what kickstarted my whole experience in the environmental field. But yeah, I definitely understand the approach that you were taking because I was thinking this exact same thing when I was still in college. And Khalil, man, I have to say, with a business major, I feel like they're always gonna need business majors, because it's still a field of business. They have to make money, have to generate revenue, and it's pretty much just like every other branch of the government where they got a budget, they're gonna need business majors. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what y'all do in the future. So I definitely am planning on keeping in touch with your parents, Miles, and asking about what you and Cole are going to be doing. Um, and I also wanted to ask you, what's been your favorite part of the internship experience as a whole? Like, I know you've both spoken on how much you love like working with it, but do you have like any particular experiences that just like really stood out in your mind?
Um, I would say, particularly for me, there was, the whole process of giving out the Distinguished 400 awards is research, more research, more research, and then finally making sure that all the list is finalized and then sending it out to all of the awardees, telling them that they won. And I remember it was a specific, I don't want to say it was like a Friday, and the first round of emails came out saying that people won the awards. And it was so cool to see responses back saying like, wow, this is great. Like I never see something like this before. Like I'm gonna, you guys have been, this is really motivates me to keep doing the work that I'm doing. And I really appreciate, the commission. That was one of the highlights of, I remember that month for me, just being able to send out, the awards, letting them know like, hey, we see you doing what you're doing and we want to give you something, um, you know, to help you out or to make you feel good about the stuff that you've been doing. And that made me feel good. And that made, I'm sure, a lot of people feel good, and also helped strengthen the commission as well, because a lot of people had questions about what the commission was, and I was able to answer that. So that was probably one of the highlights of my internship experience, just being able to finally give out a product that people are receptive towards. So,
I think for me, my favorite part has really just been the people that we've met, whether that's the commissioner or people that just want to help out, or even meeting like Miles. And we had another intern when I started, and she's actually working full time for the commission now. Just meeting all these people that really care about a commission that's trying to give back to African Americans, and say that while we've been here for 400 years, well, not past 400 years now, um, that we've done so many great things since we've been here. We've done so much to help out our communities and help out the world that we don't really talk about as much. And it's time for that to change. It's time for us to say, you know what, these people have really done the best they can. They've helped out so many people. They've helped out their community. They've done so much. It's time for us to really celebrate these people and show that there are a lot of Black people that are doing great things in their community. It's not always a negative picture, or it's not just people that are just chilling and trying to make sure that they're getting by. There's a lot of people that are doing great things and trying to make sure that they're helping and giving back. There are a lot of people in success, high positions that are always reaching out behind them, trying to pull other people forward. So just seeing that has been really wonderful for me personally. And I think that's been my favorite part of just seeing how everything has been happening.
And yeah, that's such important work too. Because I remember when I was putting together the database on eco orgs, just like how hard it was finding like those websites advertising like people of color, doing all this great work in the environmental field, and then finding some that work outside of the environmental field. It's just like, that doesn't really get broadcast um, as much as it should. And so I definitely understand where y'all are coming from, where just like having work that just highlights, how involved we've been with the history of the US, how many great things we've accomplished here. Even though, that's not something that you generally learn from school. It's always really fun and really empowering to just like learn and see all of the people of color just doing great things, have great organizations. And also, it gives you a little bit of an idea on like what you can do in your own local community. And I feel like there's a really good network to be made just like from knowing these people and knowing what they do. Um, Even with the podcast, just like getting in touch with people and just talking to them and giving them a platform to speak on, all the work that they've done. So I feel like it's something that should definitely be highlighted more. So I definitely really appreciate the work that y'all are doing as well. Well, alrighty, fellas. That was actually all the questions that I had for y'all today. So I just once again want to thank y'all for being on the podcast, Sip of Green Tea. I forget which episode this is, but this is, I think it's probably like around 25 or so. Um, and it's definitely been really fun just getting to speak with you both and just learn more about the work that you're doing. Because like I said, like I think it's gonna be something that a lot of people who watch the podcast had probably never heard of before. And now that they've heard, they're gonna be wanting to check it out and shout it out to their friends too. Um, and could you give me the website name one more time? You said it was 400 YAAH, correct?
HC.gov. Yeah. So it's for the 400 Years of African American History Commission.
Got you. Awesome. And just a quick question: do they have like a museum or anything like that?
No, not that I'm aware of, Miles.
No, not a museum. I guess, we're creating the website to make it a digital museum, if you will. Once
Got you.
set up, but
Got you.
yes,
Because it definitely sounds like something that has like so much to highlight that it could go in a museum.
honestly, it could. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank y'all again so much for being on the podcast. I'm looking forward to checking out that website and just learning for myself. Like 400 years, like you said, that's a lot of history right there. And it's going to be really fun to just, see what I haven't learned about. And so, yeah, so thank y'all for being on the podcast. Once again, Miles Ezeilo, Khalil Baker, thank y'all so much. And I hope y'all have a great break. Take care,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.